right, so back with the Rothbard Network, I'm Caleb, and I'm here with Candice Malcolm. We're talking about Generation Screwed, her book, and please tell me why I'm not entitled to my entitlements.
Well, I think that's part of the problem is that everyone really believes that they are entitled to their entitlements. But when you look at the math and when you look at what's going to happen with our government finances, not right away, not next year or the year after, but 20, 25 years down the road, whether you're entitled to your entitlements or not, you're not going to get them because there's not going to be any money left in the funds. And so that's what my book really tries to blow the whistle on, is just to show the structural shortfalls in our government finances and to try to wake young people up to what a bad deal they're getting.
But they have a printing press, so it's going to work out.
Well,
there's a flaw in your logic right there, because they can just print a bunch of money, right?
Well, I think eventually that game sort of stops. And my book looks at not just national debt, but when you're looking at provincial debt, municipal debt, and all these unfunded liabilities that are built into the system. A government like Ontario, they can't print money, so they're reliant on either raising their own funds, borrowing, which is what they do increasingly, or inevitably, eventually, I guess they would ask to be bailed out by the federal government, but I don't think that would ever happen. So,
do you ever come to a point where nobody wants Ontario's bonds? It'd be like Canada in the 90s with Chrétien?
That's my warning. I testified in front of the Finance Committee this year, and I said that. You can't just assume that you'll always have a bond buyer eventually, inevitably. So someone might, the bond might go unsold, and you get into a default situation. And it's happened before. It's happened with countries like Cyprus, Argentina, Greece is sort of getting there. Greece is already past there, but it's happened with companies as well. So if a company goes bankrupt, all those people who have pensions and were owed pensions from that company, the company's gone. Their pensions are gone too. And so I'm sort of saying, this is what is going to happen if we keep being so reliant on government debt and on borrowing. Eventually we'll wake up and there'll be nothing left. So, our whole lives we're paying into the system, we're paying our taxes, we're paying into the CPP, and we expect it to be there. But because it hasn't been managed properly, the funds haven't been projected properly, eventually we're going to wake up and those programs aren't going to be there for us.
Does this mean that baby boomers are screwed too? Because they're as they get more money out of the system, and they're just kind of being parasites, and young people are slowly paying taxes, and then we're going to have less wealth, and it's like a real life version of Atlas Shrugged, like at the end of Atlas Shrugged. So at some point, because the baby boomers are huge, like
right.
The first ones are retiring now, and the last ones will be another decade or two. So. Are they going to get screwed in this too? At some point, is this all going to kind of fall apart?
I think eventually it might. I think that it really isn't just one cohort or one generation that's in trouble. It's everybody. So I think when you look at the CPP, for instance, they say it's actuarially sound for the next 70 years. So baby boomers are fine on that front because they'll be dead in 70 years. But some of these other programs might not do as well. So I think a lot of people really do have the expectation that some of these programs just won't be there for them. I don't think young people really have thought about it yet. But when I've been doing media interviews about the book, a lot of times I'll talk to someone who's in their 40s or 50s, and they'll say, I've always kind of doubted that the old age security funds that go to seniors today. I always doubt whether or not those will actually be there for them. So definitely, this isn't just one small group of society. This is going to affect absolutely everyone. It's just a matter of time, when it comes to fold.
When, yes. Is it all going to happen at once, or is it going to be gradual? No one can say for sure.
Yeah, no one can say. And I think my book really is just sort of saying, this is what might happen if we don't fix these things. These are the trajectories. This is what, when you look at the numbers, it's really not an ideological argument. It's actually
numbers
based on math. So, I can kind of posit about what will it look like, when will it happen. No one knows for sure, but, I think when it comes to fixing the problem, if we don't fix it, it'll get a lot worse. It will blow up, and we'll wake up one day and our free health care there won't be any money left for that. Our taxes will be so high that we can't afford to do other things.
Do you think this is fixable though? Because I think a lot of Canadians are going to realize within the next 20 years is that we do have to have private health care at some point, because the examples in Europe are just so obvious that it works, the two-tier system works. So that kind of takes care of that issue, and there could just be more of a push toward this understanding that lower taxes, create wealth. So, you know,
That's wishful thinking.
I know this.
I'm not sure.
Maybe it is. Maybe I'm just in my own bubble of
I think
people who are
healthcare is a
money.
tricky one. I think that Canadians feel just so tied to it. We have this rigid government healthcare system. It's one of the most rigid state-run systems in the entire world, and for some reason Canadians are very fond of it. They think it's the best
They
system in the world.
think,
It's not.
yeah,
It really
yeah.
isn't.
I don't know how else to.
It ranks like
yeah.
20th. There's a lot better countries out there that manage their healthcare better. Canadians are attached, but I think inevitably, if it's not the finances, might be the other way through court, because the idea is that we have universal access. So when the government can't afford to give you universal access, inevitably people will, they'll need a service that's on the Canada Health Act. They can't get access to it. They're going to sue the government.
Yeah, there's cases going on right now.
There are
that
cases,
exact
there's
thing,
the famous Chewy case in Quebec, and there's a couple other cases in Alberta and British Columbia. So I think whether it's, through finances or through the constitutionality argument, one way or another, it's inevitable, it can't go on forever, the math doesn't work. And I think, healthcare might be one of the harder transitions, just because Canadians have been
so conditioned.
We're kind of, brainwashed to think that we have this great healthcare system, when really it's average at best, so.
Well, speaking of how healthcare is just ballooned every government budget, Ontario, are they fucked or are they really fucked?
Well, the biggest problem is that the government just doesn't care. Like, every warning you can get from every economist, every university, even groups that are typically center left, telling the government you need to balance your budget, or at least figure out a plan to eventually balance the budget.
Yeah.
And they're just willfully.
Well, they're going to have an Ontario pension plan, so that's going to solve everything.
Well, somehow they're making it even more indebted and taking even more taxes out of the economy. So I just, their plan really boggles my mind, and it's scary because they're the largest economy in the country.
What's scary is that Justin and Kathleen Wynne are so close together, Justin Trudeau, and to have them as the federally, Ontario to be expanded federally.
Yeah.
It's a scary prospect.
I hope Canadians have a little more sense than that. I think, there's one thing with a politician that sells you these great ideas. When it comes to paying for those ideas, that's sort of the important part
That's the whole,
to look at. And I think both those politicians you named are sort of examples of politicians who, promise the world, and then when it comes to paying the bill, they're nowhere to be found. So.
I guess I'll wrap it up with, I know that your book is about Canada, which is what makes it so great that it is about Canada, but the United States has the exact same problem, except it's like 100,000 times worse.
Yeah, and Europe is even.
In Europe, is there any hope at all for Western civilization? I'm a young person, I should probably just move to Chile, right?
Well, or Singapore maybe.
Or Singapore, yeah. Like, I really should just bail. Like, there should be an opt-out issue.
Yeah, well, I think, it's a combination of an aging population, low fertility rates, and then this booming government debt. So I think we can sit here in Canada and watch what's about to happen, what's already happening in Europe. The United States, like you said, is sort of more advanced in this.
And it seems like because we're so close to the States and we rely on them so much, it's gonna be worse than what you portray in the book.
Well, possibly, but I think like in my book, I give lots of examples of ways that we can actually fix this through public policy. I don't think it would necessarily be popular, and so it's hard to find politicians who would actually champion these policies. But I think Canada, because we're a small country, we can actually kind of lead the way. We can say, point to an example of how you personalize your health care, how you get rid of government pension, and be an example for the United States, be an example for Europe. And I think places like Singapore and Hong Kong are already providing those examples as well. It's inevitable. It's the trajectory of the math. So, as much as we love our entitlements in Canada, as much as people feel entitled to all these big government programs, they're just simply not gonna last.
Yeah.
I think it's better to get out in front of it. But I just want to plug my book because
of course.
You can find it on my website, which is CandiceMalcolm.com, and you can buy it on Amazon as well. Download it to Kindle.
That's what I did.
Search for Generation.
I had her sign my Kindle. She recommended it. Thank you for coming on my show, I guess. And yes. Check out more from rothbard.ca. And this is Candice Malcolm. She wrote a great book, Generation Screwed. Check it out.
Great. Thank you.